In the headlines to the CBC NewsNight, Barbados adopts a ministerial declaration representing a unified stance on advancing social protection, among other things. No place for vigilante justice in Barbados. Sir Henry Ford laid to rest.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome to the CBC NewsNight on this first day of November. Barbadians stand to benefit from a ministerial declaration adopted at the 16th Ministerial Forum for Development in Latin America and the Caribbean. The declaration is a roadmap for transformative policy action and impactful initiatives that transcend boundaries, ultimately steering the Caribbean and Latin American region toward a more equitable and resilient future. Anesta Henry reports.
Barbados is adopting a Bridgetown Declaration moved at the 16th Ministerial Forum for Development in Latin America and the Caribbean. Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs Kirk Humphrey says the declaration represents a unified stance on advancing social protection, equity, and resilience for people of the Caribbean and Latin America. He was addressing the closing ceremony of the forum held at the Wyndham, Barbados.
Barbados was able to say to the rest of the world what we were doing. The rest of the world was able to say to Barbados what they're doing, and we can build collectively on that. I suspect that we will translate a lot of these into meaningful changes into the lives of ordinary people. If it is that at the end of the day we come together and we just have a declaration that is a beautifully written declaration, but it doesn't advance the lives of ordinary people, it doesn't move the needle for persons with disabilities, it doesn't move the needle on gender issues and so on, then we would not have achieved anything.
Minister Humphrey says the framework will improve the lives of ordinary people.
To build social protection, to have the world, because Latin America and the Caribbean is often spoken of together, but we don't often sit together and discuss these issues, Caribbean issues. So climate change, for example, affects us differently than it does Latin America. And so we were able to incorporate a lot of that into the document, and I think it's going to mean that the world has a better place, a better world, particularly for Barbados, particularly for the people of the Caribbean and the people who live here.
Government, the United Nations Development Program, and the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean hosted a forum which zeroed in on complex issues facing the region. And while 2 days of robust discussions have come to an end, Minister Humphrey says the island is proud to have hosted what is being touted as one of the biggest ministerial forums to be held in the world.
We recognize that in a climate vulnerable society like Barbados, the persons who are most affected by disasters always are these persons, the most vulnerable. And so for us to be able to come to a conference like this where we have over 22 ministers, I think 27 countries, 57 delegations, and to be able to agree across the region that we can work together progressively on these important issues is important.
Administrator of the United Nations Development Program, Akeem Steiner, is thanking participants for making Latin America and the Caribbean be more clearly heard on the world stage.
But also investing in that ability to maintain that regional perspective that I think, whether we are in the Eastern Caribbean, whether we are in the Latin American Caribbean region as a whole, can provide so many, I think, positive directions.
The forum will reassemble in Brazil next year. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
By next year, Barbados will know the status of its new constitution. Prime Minister Mia Motley says following Barbados being named a republic 3 years ago, a constitutional reform commission was called and have since handed its report to the President of Barbados, the Most Honourable Dame Sandra Mason, and the Prime Minister's office.
And today, Cabinet agreed that that report of the Constitutional Reform Commission, as well as the Parliamentary Reform Commission, which has also been submitted, that those reports have been noted but have been given the permission for them to be given full ventilation by the commissioners during the month of November and through publication to every household digitally and in hard copy that wants to get it.
Prime Minister Motley says as Barbados re-engages, reignites and reimagines its path forward, there's no better time than November to review those reports. She says Barbadians must recognize their responsibility not only to light up Barbados, but also to light up their consciousness and sense of purpose.
We must have the conversations that will cause us to see whether parliamentary reform for the first time in 53 years is absolutely necessary, as recommended by that all-party commission. And similarly, whether the Constitution of Barbados that was settled by the Right Excellent Errol Walton Barrow upon the settlement of independence and the Parliament of the day, having accepted it as an act that was allowed us by the British, even though our own drafted the Constitution, whether we are prepared now to have a new Constitution under the Republic of Barbados as recommended both by report and by actual draft bill from the Chair, retired Justice Mr. Christopher Blackman.
This as Barbados celebrates 58 years of independence and 3 years ago becoming a republic. The city of Bridgetown came alive as a switch was flipped to signal the annual Sagicor Life Inc. lighting ceremony. And for the first time, the switch was flipped in another location simultaneously at the Shirley Chisholm Primary School to highlight the centennial celebrations, which coincides with the island's Independence Day celebrations. The switch was pulled by head boy of the Shirley Chisholm Primary School, Isaac Brathwaite, and head girl Ariel Crony in the city, and deputy head boy Malik King and deputy head girl Ashanti Masco at the school. No to vigilantism. That's the stance of Minister in the Office of Attorney General with responsibility for crime prevention, Corey Lane. Speaking to CBC News following an incident earlier this week in which a man was chased and beaten to death after an accident with a female, Mr. Lane says there can be no place for it in Barbadian society, as we are a place for law and order and justice.
No citizen has the legal authority or the legal right to take matters into their own hands, to be judge, jury, and executioner. No matter how horrific the person, the act, or the crime is, we have laws in this country and we have systems set to deal with these issues. The correct agency being the Barbados Police Service to deal with these matters, and the criminal justice system via the courts, the prosecutor, the defense attorney, the magistrate, the judges. Now, we ask people to be vigilant and to be able to report and come forward so that we can prosecute these matters in the correct way. And we also ask the criminal justice system to be a little bit more diligent in terms of understanding that justice delayed is justice denied.
He added that under his remit, they're looking to scale up social media monitoring to get ahead of certain situations.
We're also looking at increasing our presence and communication with the community to get a handle on these things before they get out of control, to help mitigate and mediate against refuse and retaliations to prevent crime in the short, medium, and long term. But there's no place for vigilante justice in Barbados whatsoever. We will continue to be a country of laws and a country of law and order.
A Christchurch man has been formally charged with the murder of his uncle, Trevor Bradshaw. The accused is Romel Andre Williams, 42 years, of 2nd Avenue, Edie Village. Police say last Friday the two men were among family members attending a viewing for Williams' father at the Paramount Funeral Home. A dispute broke out inside the funeral home and turned violent outside, during which the deceased was stabbed twice in the torso. He was taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital but succumbed to his injuries. Williams was taken into custody that same day. He appeared before Chief Magistrate Ian Weeks at the District A Magistrates Court yesterday and was remanded to Dodds Prison. He's scheduled to reappear on November 28th this year. Meanwhile, 2 people have been arrested and charged with several drug-related offences. They are Timothy Nicholas Joseph, 51 years, of Maxwell Hill, Christchurch, and Adika Kellyanne Campbell, 35 years, a Jamaican national of 6th Avenue, St. Barnabas, St. Michael. The pair allegedly committed several offences on Saturday, 26th of October 2024, whilst at Sterling Road, St. Philip, including trafficking and the possession of cannabis and cocaine with intent to supply the drugs. Police said the 1 kilo of cocaine had a street value of 50,000 Barbados dollars, while the cannabis, which weighed 0.5 pounds, was valued at $4,000. They appeared before Chief Magistrate Ian Weeks in the District A Magistrates Court yesterday. Joseph pleaded guilty to all charges and was fined $10,000 in 12 months or 9 months in prison. Campbell pleaded not guilty to all charges and was granted bail of $10,000 with 1 surety. She is scheduled to reappear in the District A Magistrates Court on Tuesday, the 14th of January, 2025. Legal luminary, former opposition leader and BLP stalwart Sir Henry de Boulay-Ford was laid to rest today following an official funeral. After a procession which covered parts of his beloved Christchurch West, family, friends, statesmen and politicians gathered to pay tribute to a man described as selfless at the Christchurch Parish Church. He was later interred at the Coral Ridge Memorial Gardens. Horatio Legard reports.
Sir Henry de Boulay-Ford was known far and wide across the landscape of Barbados, and it was evident by those who turned out to pay tribute to the former Attorney General and Minister of External Affairs. Sir Henry passed away on October 15th at age 91, taking with him an era of Barbados that will remain etched on the minds of many Barbadians for years to come. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley, in her tribute, says Sir Henry fought for the rights of Barbadians, especially women, during his tenure in Parliament. She recalls him as a true patriot and statesman of the soil, particularly with his dedication during the era of the 3 blind mice.
But today we stand and honor the example of a man who, though never Prime Minister, will stand forever as a patriot and a beacon of excellence and integrity for the benefit of the rest of us who have eyes to see and ears to listen.
Sir Henry's son Martin says beyond the accolades, his father was a man of great stature. He says Sir Henry was especially devoted to his wife Cheryl Lady Ford, with his primary duty as a parent being to protect his children, nurture their skills, and encourage their journeys.
It extended to his sentiments about building community. He would say when he passed he wanted to be like the clouds and travel around the world, lending water where needed and watching over the world as it evolved, because he was so interested in people and how the world was going. His concerns were there, and he wanted to be a part of that.
His last son, Ryan, describes Sir Henry as a legend and says it is a privilege to be his son. Ryan says while many had the time to play sports and video games with their fathers, he, his brother, and scores of friends whom he mentored had the opportunity to always have his father's support and teachings.
We were privileged to have such a great legend of a man lead our family, support all of our dreams, and raise us to treat persons with the same level of respect, and if possible, give opportunities to some who may not have, and also guide younger persons to believe in themselves.
Dean of the Cathedral of St. Michael and All Angels, the Very Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Gibson, recalls Sir Henry as an ardent and faithful servant. He says when one holds such a faith as Sir Henry did, it says even in the deepest moments of life, one must have the character, conscience, and strength to rise above the things that affect us externally.
He supported charities. He supported his church and his family, maintained good and lasting friendships, and gave generously of his time and resources to many. Much of it done in the simple, behind-the-scenes work.
Sir Henry leaves to mourn his wife Cheryl Lady Ford and his sons Nicholas, Martin, and Ryan. May he rest in peace. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
The Ministry of Education has outlined plans to decolonize the education system. Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer-Bradshaw says there still has been a heavy legacy of colonialism, even though some progress has been made since emancipation to advance the education of the black population. Dr. Archer-Bradshaw says this deeply influenced educational structures, curricula, and values.
Imagine a classroom where our children learn about the history of Barbados, not just through the lens of imperial powers, but through stories of our ancestors, the resilience of our people, and the richness of our cultural heritage. Imagine teaching mathematics through the prism of local agriculture or science, through the understanding of our natural ecosystems. When we integrate indigenous knowledge systems, our histories and cultural practices as well into the fabric of our local environments, we actively work towards decolonizing education.
She pointed to partnerships with the Division of Culture and National Cultural Foundation as evidence the ministry has been working to include heritage and cultural studies as part of the curricula.
At present, while external experts are utilized to expose students to cultural elements like tuk music and steel pan and African games such as wari, it is highly desired that our teachers are effectively trained to infuse and integrate intangible cultural heritage principles into classroom instruction. Our teachers and students can become active agents of indigenous knowledge creation instead of passive recipients of foreign education.
However, Professor Christopher Emden from the Gordon Institute for Advanced Study, Teachers Training College, Columbia University, believes what needs to be decolonized is schooling.
Over the course of time, the puppet strings of the colonizer get attached to young people because they're hooked onto young people by their teachers. Teachers who've gone through a colonization process, went through schools, found success in schools, start being attached to these things that make them perform a certain way, and so then they get into school systems, and when young folks come in, raw, organic, expressive, vocal, they say, shut up, sit down, be quiet, follow the rules, learn to perform the way we perform because that's what's acceptable. And so I'm saying to you that to change education, you've got to have the speed of the heartbeat of young people, and that requires you being able to linger and stay and study and be with young people.
Research into men's cancer is in for a major boost this weekend. That's according to Deputy Governor of the Barbados Central Bank and Right Worshipful Master of Lodge Pelican, Elson Gaskin, ahead of the annual Pork Fest at the Masonic Temple this weekend. Mr. Gaskin told the media today a number of charities also stand to benefit from the day-long family exercise on Saturday. Trevor Thorpe reports.
The fraternal official said schools and churches are among a cross-section of targeted charities which will stand to benefit, among them the Barbados Cancer Society. He said the Lodge is a men's organisation and attention is being given to prostate cancer research.
We are a male organisation and a lot of attention is given to breast cancer screening, and that's wonderful. But we also think that some, on the behalf of the men in the society, that some money should also be put into research and awareness as far as men's cancers are concerned, and therefore we'll be making that presentation. We'll also be donating to the University of West Indies Scholarship Fund that is placed there by the District Grand Lodge of Barbados, also St. George Primary School, the Combermere School, the Salvation Army, and in fact any brother of the Lodge can recommend a worthy cause or charity.
The lodge head said the initiative is also to help to demystify the myths about lodges. He admitted that it would not be easy to clear up the age-old myths about fraternal organizations.
Over the years, we Freemasons have done a lot of charitable work, but we've done it quietly. We are not usually out there in the newspaper handing over a check and so on. But I do agree with you that there are these misconceptions. But Freemasonry is comprised of ordinary men.
Females will not be left out of the day-long fundraising exercise.
Not left out at all, because those cosmetic products that I mentioned will be geared towards females. But if you're, as a male, you win that door prize, of course, you take it home for your significant other, or if they're next to you, just hand it over. So by no means are the females left out there or at the bar, because we'll have, you know, some Moscato wine and other offerings that the females can partake of.
The day's action will include a number of games, including dominoes, drafts, and cards. A number of prizes are also up for grabs. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
And we say good evening to Damian Bess with some sports.
Yes, good evening to you, Wendy. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Some cricket news first up. Kevin Wickham powered Barbados Pride to a nervy 3-wicket win over the Leeward Islands Hurricanes in their CG United Super 50 Cup match today at Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad. Deciding to take first knock, the Hurricanes posted 284 for 5. Justin Graves struck 112, which included 9 fours. Jamel Warrican, he picked up 4 for 43. Wickham then struck 11 fours and 3 sixes in his 118 as the Pride finished on 285 for 7 with 2 balls to spare. Captain Kyle Mears made a vital 58. Well, the Pride's next match will be against Ghana Harpy Eagles on Sunday at 9 a.m. Meanwhile, at the Brandar Cricket Academy in today's other Super 50 match, Trinidad and Tobago Red Force have just won that encounter. The Windward Islands Volcanoes batted first and scored 182 in 45 overs. In reply, the Red Force reached 186 for 3 of 38 overs to win by 7 wickets. Tion Webster scored 95 not out. Well, opener Evan Lewis almost recorded back-to-back hundreds, but his 94 runs ensured the West Indies beat England by 8 wickets via the DLS method last night in Antigua. As we reported, the Windies were initially chasing 210 for victory, but at 81 without loss after 15 overs, there was a rain interruption and the DLS target was set at 157 runs in 35 overs. Well, the hosts got up to 157 for 2 in 25.5. Lewis, who scored a century against Sri Lanka last week, led the charge, hitting 5 fours and 8 sixes. Rabadan King contributed 30 in an opening partnership worth 118 runs. Well, spinner Gurukesh Moti was a judged player of the match, taking 4 for 41 as England were bowled out for 209 in 45.1 overs. The second ODI gets underway tomorrow in Antigua from 9:30 a.m. with live coverage on MCTV's ESPN channel 308 and radio station 94.7 FM. That is the first half in sports, Wendy. We've got more in the second.
Well, I'll see you then, Damien. Up next on CBC's Newsnight, the Business Report. In tonight's Business Report, members of the island's judiciary should now be better equipped to deal with matters on competition law, public procurement and customs, and trade facilitation. This forms part of a project of the 11th European Development Fund support to carry forward member states. It furthers the implementation of their Economic Partnership Agreement commitments to ensure competition remains robust under regional and international treaties. Participants will be lectured to by Professor Emeritus and former France Supreme Court Judge Frederick Jenny. The EU's delegation to Barbados head of cooperation, David Mongalon, says this training will enhance capacity for national and regional judicial personnel to resolve competition law-related disputes. He says to date, over 13 people have benefited from the training and best practices in the subject area, with one person being awarded a scholarship for a graduate certificate in customs administration.
Fair trading practices, a predictable trading environment, and equitable adjudication of disputes in a timely manner, and transparency are all vital issues needed to be addressed by Caribbean member states as they seek to enter into the global economy. All of these commitments are mirrored in the various provisions of the IPA. The capacity building project forms part of a wider program of support under the European Union's 19 million euros grant for the implementation of the Economic Partnership Agreement.
Blue Diamond Resorts has unveiled its plans for the proposed Royalton Chic in Barbados. The 220-suite property will be located on the site of the former Discovery Bay Starfish in St. James. In a release, President Jordi Pelfort stated Barbados is the perfect location for the Royalton Chic. Blue Diamond says the new property promises to redefine the Barbados luxury travel scene by blending the vibrant energy of the island with the effervescence and exclusivity of Royalton Chic resorts. The adults-only all-inclusive resort is set to open in spring 2026. Time now for a look at how stocks traded locally and regionally today.
In Jamaica, QWI Investments Limited, with 2,929,277 units, was the volume leader, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited and Radio Jamaica Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, JMMB Group Limited was the volume leader, with 350,000 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $357,000, followed by NCB Financial Group Limited. And here in Barbados, Epley Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund was the volume leader, trading 22,288 shares at Barbados 50 cents each, and they were followed by CIBC Caribbean Bank Limited.
We'll take a break and be back with the weather. We apologize for the absence of our usual weather presenter. However, we have some information from the Met Office for you. A surface to mid-level ridge pattern was the dominant feature across Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. However, surface to low-level confluence on the southern periphery of the said ridge pattern triggered a few light isolated showers across a few of the southern and central Windward Islands. No rainfall was measured at Charnock and Christchurch. Localized showers and thunderstorms were encountered across Trinidad and Tobago due to a light wind regime coupled with daytime heating. Over the Guianas, mostly fair weather conditions were experienced due to a dominant ridge pattern. Winds across the region were light to moderate, peaking at 15 knots in St. Lucia. We'll take a break here and come right back with the forecast for tonight and tomorrow. We're back now with a look at sea conditions. They're moderate in open water with swells ranging from 1.5 to 2.5 meters and increasing. Small craft operators and sea bathers should exercise caution. Tonight, you can expect a gentle east-southeasterly to southeasterly breeze from 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. Tomorrow, there will be a light southeasterly breeze from 10 to 20 kilometers per hour. The forecast tonight calls for a mix of clear skies with cloudy periods with the occasional scattered light to moderate showers and a very slight chance of isolated thunderstorms. Tomorrow it will be partly cloudy to cloudy with the occasional scattered light to moderate showers and a very slight chance of isolated thunderstorms.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
And we say hello to Damien Bess once again.
Thanks so much, Wendy. Well, it's that time again when we shine the spotlight on a player who has stood out in the Prime Minister's Cup football competition. Tonight we feature Rashad Jules.
Which footballer will have the spotlight tonight? Let's play ball with your player of the week from the Prime Minister's Cup.
The name on everyone's lips from last week is that of Rashad Jules, the ace marksman for Ellerton in the ongoing semi-professional Prime Minister's Cup football competition. Jules, a medicine forward, has been the talisman for the St. George-based club, and his impressive resume simply speaks for itself. With 7 goals in 4 matches, he's the tournament's leading goal scorer and our player of the week. The prolific striker proved to be a super sub after not feeling 100%, coming off the bench to produce an all-important equalizer that paved the way for Ellerton to stage a brilliant comeback from a goal down to reach the quarter-finals with a 2-1 win over Pride of Gall Hill. And he has credited his success to his teammates.
It would not have been possible without my teammates, to be quite honest, because obviously it's a team sport. But from the beginning, we had a pretty poor season in the Premier League, so there's something that we want to come away with at the end of the year. Right? So most of the guys got their head down, focus in reference to doing the best they could in the tournament.
Jules is dreaming of lifting the coveted trophy at Kensington Oval on November 30th and told us how winning would help to uplift his team.
What would it mean for Ellerton to win the Prime Minister's Cup?
This is one of the biggest, let me say, out the season tournaments, probably in Caribbean, if you look at it that way. So it would be historic for Ellerton to win it, saying that we ain't win nothing in the past couple of years too, It would be very good for the Ellerton community, along with the Ellerton team, to actually win something, because a lot of these players would have been playing together from youth stage, right? So it would be great for them as well to win a major competition like the Prime Minister's Cup.
For Ellerton to win the tournament, they will have to get by their nemesis Weymouth Wales, who have defeated them in 3 out of the last 4 cup finals. It will be another chapter in the biggest rivalry in local modern-day football, and Jules is up for the challenge.
It would be great for us to overcome the great Weymouth Wales, as you call it. It would be great for us to overcome them, and it's just one block in front of us towards where we want to be.
Jules also highlighted the massive impact the supporters from the surrounding areas of Ellerton have on the team.
The Ellerton community already coming out. This is the first season I've seen people from Ellerton community coming out to training and watching the team train and having an input on their community team. So I really don't have to tell the Ellerton fans anything. They're already behind the team. They're already supporting us. The churches in Ellerton came out to support us up to choose this training session. So the Ellerton community is behind the Ellerton team.
So there you have it. Rashad Jules, our player of the week.
And that was your player of the week. That one footballer who took the spotlight from the action in the Prime Minister's Cup.
And that is our time for sports tonight. Wendy, it's back over to you.
Thank you so much, Damien. We'll return after the break.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
That's news. Thanks for viewing and enjoy the rest of your evening.